Danny Okers. And
did you say you were Danny Okers?
Next to me is Dan Tom. And my best friend, Randy, over there in the corner. For those of you guys wondering what the hell's going on, that's kind of how Danny's show is. You should check it out. It's called Poppin' Off. And then we have a lot of, I don't know, I have like a name for them. I call them satellite shows. But basically what I mean by that is people that have been involved with our show one way or another. So Dan Tom has his show, the Protect Your Neck podcast. Jason Buckamer, a.k.a. Butt Munch, he's got his show. He used to be Jason the Intern. Danny Okers is our producer. He's got his show. So it's like...
Coming up in a minute.
Those are our satellite shows. Okay. You should check them out.
We should just make... Is there a way to make a network of all of them? And so, like... Because, you know, on YouTube, like, you can make playlists and they all just go together. Like, so all of your shows that are tagged the same go together as a playlist. And you can just send the playlist. I wonder if there's a way to make, like, a YouTube network of just everyone's shows that has any kind of connection with Junkie Nation.
That's
you guys should call yourselves the Union.
Oh, that was one of my favorite pro wrestling things that never took off. That was Shamrock, Big Show, Edge.
Is that when they would come out with the 2x4 and all that?
Yeah. F yeah.
Alright, guys.
How bad is it that we both knew what we were talking about?
I'm kind of curious to know like what George thinks when he walks in. It's like, how did they get to that? What happened? These
the fact that we were both on the same page with that 20-year-old
pro
wrestling
coming
reference.
Up. Stand by.
Tell you what I'm thinking about. I gotta take a wicked piss.
This is your captain speaking. We are making our descent into Las Vegas McCarran Airport. On behalf of our crew, we'd like to thank you for flying MMAjunkie Airlines. Now please fasten your seatbelts and put your tray tables in your upright position because the descent is gonna be a little bit bumpy.
Alright, Junkie Nation, it's time to roll, baby, on MMAjunkie Radio with Gorgeous George and Gold. This is what we do and why we do it, baby. All night long, we rollin'! Yeah!
The MMAjunkie Radio revolution is upon us.
Can you dig it?
There's no escape. No escape. Through the vast frontier of cyberspace and through a sea of stars in outer space.
One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
We've solidified our combat communications stranglehold.
We are controlling transmission.
With the use of MMAjunkie Radio and SiriusXM satellite radio technology. MMAjunkie Radio. Commence transmission. Live from MMAjunkie Radio HQ in the fight capital of the world, Las Vegas, Nevada. Here are your hosts, Gorgeous George and Goes.
From the fight capital of the world, inside the beautiful Mandalay Bay Racing Sportsbook, you are listening to the MMAjunkie Radio Show, the only show that matters. I'm your host, Gorgeous George. With me, as always, is the devious and dastardly Goes. All right, he's co-host. To my left, the fight analyst, Dan Tom. To his left, Randy from San Francisco, our site coordinator, and back east handling all the producing duties. It's Danny Okers. Okers.
You sound like Elmo Blatch right now.
I did?
Yeah.
They blamed it on the golf pro.
Yeah, that guy, he's just laughing his ass off. I'm a little disappointed that neither one of you guys caught my joke yesterday.
Was
you know
it
which one I'm talking about?
Was it when Julian Marquez was here and we talked about the spine?
No, yesterday. Well, actually, those were two pretty good ones. Yeah. But we couldn't, the second time
we never got around to telling them, right?
Nah.
Okay.
The first one was good, and the second time I kind of jumped into it, but I think if we would have done that, then we would have been dicks. It was about the Ford, remember? Like, I said, like, isn't that a good escape? Like, we could have gone on forever, an expedition.
The Ford. What did you bring up the Ford?
He said something about Ford, and then, I don't know. But anyway, no, it was, I hit him with, what you talking about, Willis? He didn't get it. You guys didn't get it.
I did hear that.
I didn't hear it. Wow.
But
I wouldn't have let that slip.
I'm actually corresponding right now with Gally, and not now, but Gally and Kella about the interview. And I was telling them how Justin was just a different interview, a difficult interview, a fun interview, an engaging interview. And I did hear it, and I think I cackled to myself. Wait, when was it?
It was like at the end of the show. But
yeah, you had come over here?
No, I was here.
For Justin.
Yeah.
Okay. I did hear. All I know is I did hear it, and I giggled to myself. It's just that either I had something ready to say, or I was just trying to keep him in line and gain his trust. I wasn't sure if by his body language there was just a little bit of like distance, like, hey, what am I doing here? I committed,
in the beginning,
this is cool.
I think there was.
But then he kind of loosened up. But you could just tell that was like the athletic version of Furious Styles from Boys in the Hood. You know, he was kicking knowledge and things. But I really, really enjoyed it. It was different, and so yeah.
I want to change something now.
All right.
But this is your word, so I want to make sure that we're on the same page.
I got to give you my word?
Well, no, because you said he was kind of a difficult interview, and I was trying to figure this out in my head too. And I'm going to say he wasn't difficult, but he was challenging.
There you go.
Is that right?
I mean, it was a little bit of, okay, difficult in that every answer he gave, there was like, it's not every answer. Quite a few of his answers that he gave, I felt like I had 2 or 3 follow-ups.
Yeah.
And in addition to the questions I had, in my mind, I was falling behind. I was taking some notes, and I was looking up at the clock. Thank God we didn't really have a full slate of guests, because it allowed us to kind of get into all that. So
I wasn't expecting
that's
that, though,
what
were
I mean.
you?
Yeah,
I wasn't expecting him to be like that. So when he was, it kind of caught me off guard. So, like you said, a lot of follow-ups. But we could have gone down a rabbit hole if we did every follow-up like that. And then I would think that because it was so different for us, it may look standoffish to him because it seems like we're trying to poke holes, and we're not. We're just trying to like get to understand them. So for me, the interview was like challenging to go through.
Challenging is a good word.
And it was fun though because you guys were here too. When you guys are asking your question, that was like time to kind of like still try and figure out if I understood what his response was. And sometimes I didn't get his response until later. Then it started to make sense, and I was like, oh, I was always like trying to play catch up.
Yeah, there was a few things I had to let go, but for the most part, I thought I got through everything I wanted to. Dan?
I was going to say, I completely hear what you guys are saying, and I don't disagree, but I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Just because, again, like I felt like I did a decent job of expressing, on the show yesterday to Justin was that, gosh, I can't imagine what it was like to be in a child fighting ring or any of the things he had to deal with. So I don't want to say it on that level. But again, not getting too into my own personal thing. But as somebody who came from a troubled childhood and house hopping of sorts and dealing with certain issues, you get a certain radar. So I was able to pick up on it pretty early and kind of go at it from a different angle that I think But yeah, I was really one of the references, I missed Goze's reference, but the one that I dropped was Good Will is Hunting, because
I did hear that one too.
If you guys are familiar with Good Will Hunting, that is kind of, I think, the dichotomy and the kind of the characterization, I think, that we're all kind of struggling to try to characterize, because if you watch that movie, it's a really good, they actually played it when I was in college, and not a social class, but a psychology class. A psychology professor would use certain scenes from that movie as examples. He's like, this is a movie, this is fake, obviously, but there are certain, like, psychological examples as far as, the shields you can put up, whether it's abandonment or other issues, and listening to him growing up fighting and how that can make you kind of grow up fighting. It just, I couldn't help but strike that parallel. But I really enjoyed it yesterday. I
wanted to dive into that topic a little bit more, but I didn't want to seem like we were making light of it, joking about it. But really, like, those two gentlemen that were running that.
You're going to outline us?
I'm going to outline you.
Okay.
Yeah, all right.
Those two gentlemen that were running that, like, how did they think they weren't going to get caught? Like, kids are going to get fucked up. Like, people are going to ask about bruises. So I thought that was dumb. And then B, I wanted to know, like, was there anything in it for them? So in other words, like, if you're king of the group, like, now do you get special treatment, extra food? Like, how did those guards or whatever make it worth it for them? Because isn't it easy just for a kid to go, hey, man, they're trying to make us fight, and then the whole thing's done? Like, I don't know. I was trying to figure out. And then, like, at one point, did he start to enjoy it? Because if you're the big dog in the park, I would think maybe at some point it's probably good for you. It sucks for the kids that are getting beat up, right? But at some point, did you kind of enjoy it? But I don't know him very well, so I didn't know whether or not.
That was the key. We didn't know him very well, so any other fighter,
he doesn't know us well.
How much we can dive in. That's why I prefaced a few things by saying, look, if you don't mind talking about it, I'm curious. And if it's a road you don't want to go down, I can completely understand. But I needed to know a little bit more, about, for him to clarify those two gentlemen and what they did. And I think at one point, this is 2 hours of info, but I think at one point he said, look it up. There was a case about it or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, like I say, with a lot of that came, boy, we could spend 30 minutes alone just on this topic, you know. And then every once in a while he would give us a good chuckle or a smile to let us know that he was comfortable with certain paths we were taking. And so, like I say, yeah, challenging is a really great word. Difficult only in that, can I get to it all, you know? And not that I don't feel like we're never gonna speak to some fighter. I mean, a lot of fighters we wind up not speaking to very much going down the road, and so I feel like it's pretty special when we get them early in the career. And I feel like they're at their most raw. By the time we get them, they're at another place. They're a little bit more mainstream with their answers, and now they're even playing a part. You know, like I go back and look at when Connor was in our studio, and it's nothing like when he's.
Nah.
He wasn't even wearing a suit, for crying out loud. You know, he was wearing a ball cap and shorts, I think. And it was, you know, completely different. And then I went back and looked at Rhonda for that other project we had. Same thing, sat through that one, and I may have mentioned it on the show, maybe not, but I said, wow, that's
she
a
had
complete
a dress
different
on, right?
Rhonda.
I believe she had a dress, and I remember that because
Yeah,
I just remember
so.
thinking, wow, this is like she's being so girly right now, but she can just flip the switch and be this athlete, you know. And but this is one of the cool things that I like about this job, and I thought about this a little bit last night when we were watching Tough, and then you see Daniel Cormier, right, and he's instilling his knowledge onto a lot of fighters. Well, we remember Daniel when he would first come on the show, and nobody knew who he was, and I remember him asking a few fighters that were in studio like for their advice on how to do things, and it was like, wow, everything comes full circle now.
Yeah. I thought Daniel handled it pretty good. It's funny because the teaser from last week leads you to believe, wow, like the guy might even hop to another team. That could happen. But knowing Daniel, you also know that Daniel's pretty reasonable. And Daniel's Daniel Cormier, for crying out loud. And right behind him is Cain Velasquez. You really would have to be pretty dumb to leave that team so early over the first kind of incident that you may have, you know. So part of me also knew, you know, that's just a tease, but still, I don't know. Daniel just doesn't seem like the guy you pop off to. Like, man, I could think of a lot of coaches where you go, hey, man, I'm training, or whatever it was he told him. Sorry. Whatever it was he told him. But Daniel just looks like he runs a great practice. It may be a tough practice, but a practice that's always efficient, and there's, you know, a lot of education and I think a lot of love, you know, as well.
Remember when he did the media one?
Yeah.
He can be brutal.
A lot of media were throwing up.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, like, even if you don't like his style or whatever, you have to respect the fact that you're standing with a guy who is the current light heavyweight champion. He won the Strikeforce Heavyweight Grand Prix, and his assistant coach is a former heavyweight champion. So regardless of whether you agree with what they're saying, it's proven that their methods work.
And
so you have to kind of give a little bit, even though it may not feel comfortable to what you're used to. Those are two people. Like, if I was a basketball player and I had the chance to, like, practice with Bird and Magic for a couple weeks, regardless of whether I like them or I like their training techniques, they're proven winners. And you have to open up to that.
And even though you won't see him every episode, Javier Mendez was there, Bob Cook was there, and much respect to Rosendo Sanchez, who's now been coaching for about 10 years. He's the guy that is always farting around with DC. They're always messing with each other, but he's got boxing knowledge and great at holding pads. You know, he's been in there, and so you see him pop in there. So it's just a great team to learn from. Okay, so check it out, folks. Yeah, we're going to shuffle things around a little bit early today. I want to take an early break. I'm going to confess, I got to take a mean piss. That's one. Two, we got a surprise guest, in-studio guest for you coming up later in the show. So I got to shift a few things around, and that process has already been in the works. So I just got to, you know, finish up some texts and things like that. But it's going to be a fun show. We're going to talk to Brian Katona, who won last night's episode. He'll be on later in the second, he'll be on in the second hour. We'll talk to him. You know, his win over Kyler Phillips, a lot of them would consider it an upset, and now it puts Team Cormier in a nice position at 2-0. They get to choose the next matchup. They've already done that. We'll talk to Ricky Simone, who was on the other side of that controversy with Merab Dvalishvili.
Hey, I think that's it.
Is that it? Dvalishvili. He was the winner, and he was the guy that also, had it gone to the judges, could have been the loser. So, great comeback win for him. We'll talk to him. That was his debut in the UFC. We'll talk to Maurice Greene, who is headlining LFA 38. We'll talk to Louis Smolka, former UFC veteran who got a win out in Gladiator Challenge. And then, of course, our surprise in-studio guest host, in-studio guest, because I always say, let me know you're coming. I'll do my best to have an in-studio guest for you. And I knew Randy was coming, so I knew I had to come through. All right, folks, we'll be right back.
frequency. Up, up, down, down, left, right, BA, start. You told me that code would get rid of them. Yeah, well, they're still here. Okay, but now they know I tried to kill them. Hold on, Mom. Here are George and Goes.
Start your day with SiriusXM. Enable the SiriusXM skill on your Amazon device. Then tell Alexa to set an alarm for your favorite channel. You'll wake up to the sounds of SiriusXM. With SiriusXM and Alexa, you can get the latest sports news each morning without picking up your phone or turning on the TV. All right. So let's talk a little bit about Tough. And we won't have time to do it in the second hour. Usually we talk about it to start Thursday's show. Usually. I mean, we've only been doing it a week, but that's how I wanted to handle that. But second hour is stacked or packed. Well, both. So I want to talk about it now. As I stated, Brad Katona got the win. And he defeated Kyler Phillips. Now, Kyler Phillips was the #1 guy over there, Goes. That was a big hit for Team Miocic.
He's alpha male
Miocic
guy, right?
is a millionaire. I don't know if that hurt him at that particular moment, or if he had a good night's sleep. I don't know if they care as much as sometimes they lead on.
It seems like Daniel would care more than Stipe.
Right. They are pretty competitive at anything. So I have a feeling that what they don't want to do is get blanked 8-0.
Rampage.
So I think that's about the time where you go, hey, let's look at these matchups going forward. We got to get, we got to get some wins here. But regardless, it's the baddest man on the planet. So they do their pranks, first edition of pranks, and Miocic puts himself everywhere in that little green room that they have, prior to going out for fights. It's like a little conference room or whatever. And then there's one of him. I think the other guy was Volante, right?
I couldn't figure that out. In the picture?
They did it so fast. Yeah, it's just two guys, and they're standing there. And he said he used some app to give them these horse penises, and they're both standing there. And someone looked up. And
that was like the bat signal.
Yeah. That article just went to shit. All right. And then DC gets a kick out of it. I mean, it wasn't like, there wasn't no damage done. Right? Stipe's picks everywhere or whatever. Everything's blurred away. DC comes back and flashes those guys, and that's it. That's the end of that. They move on through the episode, and they show us a little bit of the background for both guys with Kyler basically being a Gracie Jiu-Jitsu type guy. He's from Torrance. As soon as he said that, I knew he was going to bring in as soon as he said the city of Torrance, I knew he'd bring in the Gracie Academy at some point. And it started with his dad and then him. So that was cool to find out a little bit about him. And he's got this girlfriend. He now lives in Arizona, trains at the MMA lab. And he's got this girlfriend who either has an amazing house or her parents do. I saw a basketball court and a tennis court. I was like, whoa, that's a great pad. But a lot of animals, so it's pretty cool. That's the part where if you fast forward, you're not going to learn a little bit about the fighters. And then a lot of times people get mad that they don't learn about the fighters. But I get it. Some people just don't do tough anymore. I don't know. It seems to me that, especially with TiVo, you can cut through commercials and really get it done in 40 minutes. But regardless, then they show Katona, and Katona is Canadian, but was really, really, I guess, moved by Conor McGregor's run and Kavanaugh being his leader. And he figured, hey, I want to be one of the next champions for Kavanaugh. He really clicked with him. Moved to Ireland, for crying out loud. And so that's where he lives. Lives in Dublin, Ireland. He'll be calling in from there. And so if you could tell, it was the weirdest accent.
That's what I was going to ask you. Did he pick up on the Irish accent?
Well, I think so. I think he's been there since 2016. So let's just call it 2 years. Let's just say he got there on April 25th of 2000. So he's been there for 2 years. But there was a little bit of that. There was a little bit of Canada, and there was a little bit of what the fuck is this guy talking? It seems like
okay. I thought I was on an island.
Accents are clashing here, but really, really nice kid, very cerebral, and very easy to overlook. You could look at him and go, if he were to walk in right now, I'd go, oh, well, UFC must have hired a new PR guy or something, But instead, he's the fighter, and kind of reminds me a little bit of Brian Butler. And a little bit of a guy that used to work with Paradigm. His name was Zach. Just kind of like that cleaner cut look.
He reminds me of someone, I just can't remember who. But when I come up with it, I think it'll be the guy.
Well, I have a real good one, and that's that Zach guy that used to work with Paradigm. If you ever met him with me. But you know what you did? Because remember the conversation we had? Yeah, at the Performance Institute. So, regardless, I'm thinking, I know that Brad's a black belt, and I know that he can match Kyler, in those skills. But Kyler looked like a more fluid striker. And it looked like, hey, if we strike, there's going to be problems here, but more for Brad. Now, I also know Brad was a wrestler. But Kyler seemed like one of those guys that just trained as an MMA fighter. Even though he started through jiu-jitsu, he embraced all the martial arts. And so he wasn't going to be one of those guys where, wrestler, steamrolls, BJJ guy. So now the fight starts. And, do you want to clear up anything that you saw in the episode that you liked before we get into the fight itself?
Well, you finally get to see a little bit of the pranks, which I thought, they weren't the best pranks, but for those guys, it was just funny to see them interact in that way.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about DC. That was kind of weird, but up until that point, maybe just the coaches, like the guy popping off to Cormier. I think they focused a little bit more on what actually happens during the training. So in the first fight, it didn't seem like much of what was being shown at the time was going to be implemented in the fight because they had just gotten there.
Mm-hmm.
Now at the time of this fight, you could say they've been there at least a week, maybe a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
So I think now you're starting to see more coaches' influence, and I thought that was kind of cool to see the way they were doing things. And Brad was one of the guys that I think really took to the coaching.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that was fun. I thought that was interesting.
Tylen Clark, we forgot about that little beef run that he had with Daniel Cormier. Look, obviously there's lots of footage, and we all know that these guys are geniuses when it comes to production. But just from the little I've seen, I just felt like, wow, this guy's really out of line, and then maybe that's what they wanted to do. In the end, him and DC had a good role, and they were cool, but you could just tell there was a few tense moments, and DC just didn't like the way he was being talked to because he felt like, hey, for one, I'm the coach. Two, this is a really, really cool environment. Three, you do appear to be out of line, and they actually showed a few of the guys. I think Tyler Diamond was another guy that said, hey, man, like, I'm rolling here, but I'm trying to avoid tie. That's what they call him on the show. So, it, kind of reminded me a little bit of Matt Major, a little bit, a few of the guys that have had just an attitude. Because he even mentioned, hey, everywhere I go, every gym I go to, everyone's giving me shit, And it's funny because here I am, 48 years old, sitting at home with my Jack Russell Terrier, and I actually shouted at the TV. I'm like, and I even said something like, yeah, well, no shit, fool. It's obviously you, Yeah. So that's how much I got into it. But I'm thinking, like, something baffles me is how some people don't get it, like how they're not the common denominator at some point. You know what I mean? Like, wait a minute, you're actually the one that's throwing blows everywhere. Maybe take a look at yourself. You actually told me that the other day. But, that was it. That was it. It wasn't a major blow up, but it got us to tune in, and maybe some people that fast forward to the fight, it got them to watch that because a lot of people like myself like the drama. So we get to the fight, and I want to kind of go a little bit quicker here, but in the fight itself, the difference that I thought was big, and we'll go over this with Brad, was those calf kicks. Because even though it didn't seem like the variety where all of a sudden someone's limping, or even further to that, Michael Chandler's where, he took nerve damage and the foot was just flopping. Mm-hmm. It wasn't to that variety, but it looked like it stifled Kyler and took away a little bit of his confidence,
Yeah.
So he wasn't limping too much. It didn't really stop him from planting, but it was in his head, and the other guy just went in there and executed. Kyler got the best of some exchanges. Brad had a nice left hook that he would throw from time to time. They went against the fence. The fight went to the ground, and it looked like Katona was in sync with his coach. Like, it seemed like when they were locked up, he was telling them there were certain little trips he could go for, and he was landing them. So
the hook, right? When he called the hook, and it looked like it took a few seconds, but then he did it and he got it.
Right, and I thought that those little extra things made the difference. So it didn't come down to kicks. Well, it did. Sorry. major, like the kicks we're used to seeing, like the leg kicks or the righty to the thigh or the head or the. Although Kyler had some nice ones to the liver, some spinning back kicks.
Yeah.
But mostly, punches and elbows and knees and things we see. It's that calf kick that's really become prominent in like the last 2 years. That was one thing, and then of course the wrestling and that took over. I thought Kyler may have won the second round, or at least it was going to be close, but 2 still gave it to Katona and 1 gave it to Kyler. And by that I mean I thought 2 may give it to Kyler, 1 to Brad, and we may get a third round. But instead it was 2 to Brad, 1 to Kyler. And so that was a majority decision, and we only needed 2 rounds.
Even the coaches were like, "Hey, sit down. We got to get ready because there could be a third." As where if it were maybe a blowout, they might not say that.
Right. So there you have it. That's last night's episode. Daniel Cormier, he's up 2-0 on Team Miocic. They announced not next week's picks, and it's Luis Pena. Do I got it here? Who's the other guy goes? Oh, Martinez. What's his name? It's a Hispanic guy. I have right. Yeah, Jose Martinez and Luis Pena next week. So that'll be DC's 4th pick versus Miocic's 5th pick. So pretty even. And these will be lightweights. Last night's episode was featherweights. And there you have it. Are you enjoying it so far?
I am, but I like when the coaches have a little bit of friction, and I mean I think they just really respect each other. But I'm one of the guys that doesn't have a problem with tough, so I'm always in.
Me neither. And that was one of our listeners or somebody about 6 years ago said, "Do you really have something better to do on a Wednesday?" Now for us, for the East Coast, I get it. Hey, I don't like it. I can get an extra hour of sleep if they're going to bed at 10 versus 11. For I mean, I guess that doesn't mean you can't watch it the next day. But for us, 7, I've eaten by then. And I'm either going to work out later if I do, go to Planet Fitness, or I've already done something in the morning. And I already did my physical therapy yesterday. So I was just kind of good and chilling. So for me, to answer that question, I don't really watch the CSIs and First 48s and all that zombie shit. I catch Netflix from time to time. You know me in baseball, tap me on the shoulder when we're in September. Basketball playoffs are cool, but I can watch this. That's why I got the 3 TV setup. I can watch one of them in mute, and the other one I can watch because it's work. I guess it is work, too. Yeah. But even as a fan, I think I'd still watch it. And then if something's heating up, like LeBron and that 3-pointer where he iced the game, then, hey, I'm turning up that volume. I'm freezing the other thing. So, guys, I'm telling you, get that 3 TV setup, and do not let your ladies get in the way of that as well. You got to check them early. That's just the way it is. By the way, today's the NFL draft. You pumped up about that?
Not really.
Wow, you're the opposite of John Anik. John Anik says it's the best sports day of the year for him.
What? Come on.
I mean, it's pretty cool.
I'm giving John Anik 24 hours to retract that statement. That's better than the Super Bowl, March Madness, first day of March Madness, like all that.
I think what he feels is Super Bowl could, I mean, you're right, because he's a Patriots fan, but I was going to say a Super Bowl could be like, imagine being a Browns fan, you don't give a shit about the Super Bowl.
Can you imagine being at the Super Bowl and going, can a draft just break out already? Nobody ever says that.
Yeah.
He's got to take that back.
Possibly. The Knights play tonight.
Yeah, that's what I was.
You going?
No, but I was just more pumped up about that.
Yeah, I'm like, it's cool. It's cool. I've been there 3 times. They lost each time. It's a fun experience. Ticket is expensive. Luckily, Sammy Squids hooked it up. But I noticed that we wind up going to the Jack Daniels Lounge and just drinking and socializing. And maybe it's because we were losing those games. And we got waxed bad. I know one of them was 8-3 for crying out loud. But like when we've actually sat in the seats, it's actually been a lot of fun. But then we always pull back and start the party up. So, that's something that I'll watch and root for them. And whatever happens, happens.
Cool.
All right. We have a few minutes here before we take our last break of the first hour, and then we got to talk to Ricky Simone. So just glancing over the latest news, the guys already landed, Mir and Fedor, and they've been doing some work there with the media, and our Matt Erickson's there to cover the event. So definitely check that out. Ronda Rousey apparently opened up a little bit. She did an interview, or kind of had a Q&A setting at the Wildcard Gym in L.A., and I guess really broke down and maybe offered more of herself than she has in the past regarding the losses in MMA, losing in general, and her attitude towards fans and media. Did you catch any of that?
No, I didn't get a chance to see that. Have you seen it?
I haven't seen it. I just read the article.
Okay. Yeah, I was wondering, because I know that's something that she's been wanting to avoid, and I thought maybe the last couple times where it's gone up and we've seen her reaction, like that could be the end of it. So I didn't expect there to be this type of setting where she
I kind of did. And it's good that apparently she was bawling, like tears were flying, because I think that'll be good for her.
Mm-hmm.
And I think once it's out of her, she said for 2 years, like her husband, Travis Brown, literally just kind of almost held her every night. You know, like that was just something that was, she said it came from the parent, from the mom, who told her something along the lines of just losing is unacceptable, get it out of your mind. And so again, pouring all that out is probably going to be really good for her long term, and I think she'll realize that after that the world did not come to an end. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
She said that if not for that, it wouldn't have taken her to pro wrestling, and she's obviously loving every minute of pro wrestling. But that said goes, I'll still fall back on 2 MMA fighters that I know that have dabbled in that sport, respect the sport, and performed in the sport, and then when you ask them of the 2, just nothing beats that KO, you know, the actual raw fight.
Mm-hmm.
Even though both are good, they didn't disparage. It's just that MMA and what you get out of it, and winning and jumping on that fence. And
You could say the names, all right?
yeah, because I think he said it, one of them on the show. Phil Baroni's one of them.
Oh.
The other one I'm not sure, you know, but
I thought you were talking about 2 people that are in Bellator
King Mo.
and Rampage. Haven't they been kind of vocal about?
Well, Rampage said the training was
difficulties
tough.
Yeah.
He complained a little bit more about that, and I don't know that, you know, Phil's actually done a lot of it around here.
Mm-hmm.
And
Stefan has now too.
mm-hmm. So, but at least from Phil, that he just says, man, he goes, the raw, primal feeling of winning a fight and jumping on a fence, and think about how long he's lived with that, because towards the end of his career, his record kind of evened out, but early on when he had so much success with the UFC, when these fight cards came up every 5 months or so, or sorry, 3 months, so maybe 5 per year, and you were on 2 of them, and there was this huge buildup, and there was no one else to focus on. There wasn't like a Fight Pass show in Croatia. There wasn't a Fight Night show in Atlantic City or Chile or nothing like that. There wasn't all this drama that happens with the fighters and unions and everything. It was just fighting. So to be successful then, to get vicious KOs in, that's all everyone talked about for 2 months was you.
Yeah.
And you had that highlight playing over and over. And to all of a sudden, you know, the sport get to where it's at. I'm sure, I don't think he's bitter towards that. Everybody wanted the sport to get bigger. But you're just now this little blip on the screen versus what you were at that one particular time. I mean, when Tito was it at the time, Tito was it. Baroni was it. A lot of those guys, Randy, you know, and some have handled it better. Some haven't. All right, we got to take a break. You're listening to MMA Junkie Radio on Sirius XM Rush 93. When we come back, we'll be talking to Ricky Simone, a winner at UFC Fight Night 128 in Atlantic City. So stay close.
Stretch marks on the underbelly of the MMA community. But hey, stretch marks are the new tats. They are Gorgeous George and Goes.
The NFL Draft is here, and preparation for your fantasy football season begins now on Fantasy Sports Radio. Listen to the top fantasy football experts analyze the picks as they're announced and find out which rookies you need to have on your fantasy football team this year. Live coverage from Dallas starts tonight at 8 Eastern on Sirius 210, XM87, and on the Sirius XM app. All right, our first guest, Ricky Simone, goes to 13-1 now. He is on a 6-fight win streak, debuted in the UFC this past Saturday with a win over Merab Dvalishvili, and he joins us now on the hotline. What's up, Ricky? How you doing?
Hey, what's up, guys? Thanks for having me back on.
You did it, man. You went out there and got a debut win, man. That's solid. All on late notice, too, may I add. So even though the deck was stacked against you and you had a tough opponent and a lot of controversy, in the end, the W's next to your name.
Yeah, it was it was a lot. It was a lot. You know, taking the fight on short notice and going there. Merab's a beast, but yeah, it feels so good to get that first win out of the way. I was excited for a break to take some time off, but man, after that rush, you can't help but want to get back in there.
Yeah, man. Like, listen, that is, I think, 3 fights in 4 months. I know you fought Chico back in December of 2017, so I think I'm right there with my math. Yeah. So definitely get some rest. Enjoy all the hard work you've put in, but Merab did not make it easy for you. You said it, man. The word beast. He had an incredible pace, and he was relentless. And I kept thinking, I wonder if it's going to give out. And at the same time, I was wondering, is Ricky going to have jitters? Is Ricky going to have an adrenaline dump? Is Ricky going to have enough gas in the tank? Because this guy would not go away.
Yeah, no, yeah, he kind of came out exactly how we expected. Throws the stuff we expected, but you get caught with one of those wild looping punches. Anything can happen. So I felt good. There's a lot of variables going into each fight. And it's been a busy year for me. I think it was my you said third fight in 4 months. I had 6 fights. Right over a year. So the body's been feeling it. But the UFC calls you short notice. You don't say no. So I was gonna fight no matter what, and I'm glad I did, and I'm glad we put on a show.
Talk about the third round. The first 2 rounds were, like I say, that this guy was, he came to fight, and you guys had a, nice back and forth. But as we see, the judges were favoring the fight in front of them. But again, it's a 15-minute fight if it gets that far. And I always say that in those later rounds, sometimes it's, you have to be strong in the mind. You have to have good cardio, because that's where mistakes can happen. And I think that's kind of what happened to Merab. But can you talk about what you were feeling going into the third round, what your focus was like, and then the opportunity that you had once you were able to get in, lock in that submission?
Yeah, I was under no illusion that the fight was going in my way after that first round. I know the second round was very close. I think one judge gave it to me, and then 2 gave it to him. And then third round, all the judges were giving it to me. And I feel like I'm someone who I've never really had to battle through adversity like that. So it was a good experience for me. But I'm someone who's not going to go away. It doesn't matter if it's the first round or the third round. I'm there. If my body's there, my mind's going to be there. I'm not someone who's ever you're going to see give up.
Were you? How exhausted were you? And did you have any form of jitters or an adrenaline dump just because you were, in the biggest stage, the UFC?
Honestly, I didn't feel like jitters or adrenaline dump. It was just, I feel like, just some other variables that were playing a factor, and we had a game plan, and we're working with what we had, and we were able to get the job done. That's the most important thing.
The finishing sequence, what did you feel being on top of him in that submission? We've had, the opinions of many referees, one of them on this show, Big John McCarthy. We've also talked to Merab himself. I think the final thing everybody seems to come to a conclusion is that he was in, he was out. Because he did have some form of communication with the referee, either through what he was doing with his body, cycling. It looked like he may have given a thumbs up at one point, but it looked like it was an in and an out. A lot of it actually started with him hitting his head at the 56-second mark, and probably being out then, and then being brought back, and then as you mounted him, did you feel him go limp and then back into play?
Yeah, I don't know if you guys ever choke someone out unconscious, but sometimes you can feel it. He was definitely going in and out, and I was trying to communicate that to the ref because I wasn't going to let go of that neck until he stopped it. But, the right call was made at the end of the day. We were in there for 3 rounds, and one of us was able to put the other to sleep.
Mm-hmm. And after it's all over, you get up and say he's out. Merab kind of, after about a second and a half, says, I'm in this. What did you think at that moment? Did you think that the second round was going to be key and that you'd be awaiting a decision, or how long did it take before you knew, wait a minute, I am the winner here, and they're going to declare me the winner?
I stood up and I looked down and I knew I won. The ref knew as well. He waved the fight off. There was confusion on the cameras because I don't know if the cameras caught him waving it off, but I was already celebrating my win. And then once Merab kind of comes back to, or whatever he was dealing with, he decides to get up and run around like he thinks he won. So it wasn't, the right call was made, and I was calling for that right as that bell sounded. So
you just said it. The right winner was awarded the fight under the MMA rules that are out there. It's just that a lot of fans aren't familiar with it. A lot of media can sometimes lose sight of it as well. There was a lot of confusion. I think the referee probably could have handled it better, but he did get it right, and the W is there. I know Merab plans on appealing. I don't know that it's going to go well for him. He wants to fight again. Do you?
The thing is, if I had a rematch, everyone that I put to sleep, that'd be 7 rematches that I have to go back through. There's a list.
Yeah.
That was the best case scenario for Merab. He got me on short notice, coming off 2 5-round championship training camps. That was the best case scenario for Merab. So if something happens and we end up running it back, it's going to be a totally different story. And he's going to be going to sleep in the first instead of the third.
Ricky Simone, our guest here on MMA Junkie Radio, is coming off a win at UFC Fight Night 128 in Atlantic City over Merab Dvalishvili. All right, Goes, what do you got for Ricky?
Ricky, that first fight in the UFC is always a special moment for fighters, let alone the victory and all that. But did the controversy, did that take away anything from that night for you?
No, not too much. I mean, I'm disappointed in myself no matter how the fight goes. The fight before I had a 59-second knockout, and I was still beating myself up over one move I made. So. There's always some. I'm always my toughest critic, but I made the walk. That was incredible. I got to share with my coaches, and my teammates. And, I fulfilled the dream. Last Saturday night, and I definitely would say there's been a little bit here and there that I feel like. That's why I've been saying, yeah, man, I kind of want to get right back in there so I can go back and prove myself. But I'm gonna treat the body and all the doubters and haters are gonna, they'll jump back on board after this next one.
Did you have the opportunity to speak to Merab after the fight at all, or him or his coaches at all in the back? And can you share maybe what was said?
Yeah, we took a picture together in the back in the green room. He just came up to me and so he said good fight, and I said good fight to him, and he asked to take a picture. That was about it. That's all that was said. He wasn't contesting anything, or there wasn't any there wasn't any John from him that night. So yeah, no, he was a great guy. He was friendly. We just took a picture.
The fight analyst Dan Tom has one for you. What you got, Dan, for Ricky Simone?
Hey, Ricky, I just had a question because it seems kind of apropos to the fight. I was actually doing some tape study on fighter Emmanuel Sanchez earlier this week, and a teammate of yours, Chael Sonnen, was commentating one of his bouts, and he actually compared Emmanuel Sanchez to you in the sense of the pace you keep and the fact that you're always in the fight to the end and can be hard to kind of catch up or keep down in that sense. And I found that really appropriate for the fight that obviously we just saw you in with Merab Dvalishvili, because as you just stated, even kind of maybe not at your best, short notice and all the other adversity, you were still able to kind of proved you were able to go in there and fight till the very end. What does that mean to have a teammate like a Chael Sonnen sing your praises like that on big stages?
Yeah, it's been great to have Chael. I feel like we haven't gotten a lot of credit over here in Portland at Gracie Barra Portland. So I've been seeing other guys in my weight class who dodge me, who get the push and who get signed early. That I'm just kind of waiting. So it's been nice to have someone like Chael, sing my praises and kind of helping get my name out there. Who knows how much longer this process could have taken.
How much time do you want off, Ricky? You deserve the rest of the year, I guess, if you want, because that was a lot of fights. And I know that in the off season, it's when a fighter gets better, and you have a great record, 13-1. You fought at Dana White Contender Series and won. You fought at LFA, which is a respected organization, and won. And now debut with the UFC. So, have you pinpointed either a month, an event, and even an opponent of when and where you want to come back?
I try to get ahead of myself because, all my coaches and everyone's telling me like you have to take at least a week off from doing anything. Because I'm the worst. After that Chico fight, the next day I was already back in the gym. I was, after a 5-round war, and then same thing with after the Zani fight. So it's hard for me to take time off, but the body needs it. I've been relaxing this entire week. I can't see myself like taking more than the week off. I'm already going to need to be back in the gym and as soon as the body gets good. I start PT on my back on Monday, so just got to get the body treat the body good and we'll get back in there and I want to fight 2 more times this year, so at least. So maybe one in the summer, then in the fall. So we'll see.
Do you want to travel the world, or do you like to stay close to home?
I want to travel. That's the best part of this. We get free plane tickets. To go explore for a week. And then we get to fight someone. So it's not a bad deal. Traveling is one of the best perks of this job. And I want to continue to do it.
They have a fight night in Hamburg, Germany. They have a big Fox show in Calgary, Canada. And then we're back to L.A., Lincoln, Nebraska, Moscow, Russia. How about something like that, man? What if they threw you against one of those Dagestani fighters? Would you like to be the away fighter?
Yeah, it doesn't matter to me. If you want me to travel with the American flag and show off for the USA, I can do that too. I've been to Russia twice with Tyson Nam in the last year, and he's shown out over in Russia too. So maybe it's my turn.
Yeah, because Singapore is in late June, but I think that might be too soon. That's only 2 months, you know what I mean? Although I heard Singapore is
beautiful. That sounds soon.
Cool, man. And is there a particular name out there you like? Are you fancy, or are you going to let them do their job and just give you the call?
I've been wanting to fight Benito Lopez.
There you go.
He got signed off the contender.
Okay.
I got signed. He got signed off the contender series. I did not. We were supposed to fight several times through King of the Cage, through some other regional promotions in California, and somehow he always found himself, weaseling off the card last minute, or So, and he played his cards right. It was a tough fight to take outside the UFC, but we're both here now, and there's nowhere to run. Let's go. Let's get that fight to finally happen. Stop running.
That's what I'm talking about right there. All right, we got some information, some data. We put it out there in the Twitter sphere, and the fans get their retweet on, the matchmakers see what's up. So good stuff there, Ricky. Hey, congrats, man. Sorry you had to go through all that controversy, but in the end, again, the right guy had his hand up. The referees all said, the rightful winner won. I know Merab fought a great fight, and he had what's called a quality loss. I don't think his stock dropped too much. But, again, you had an amazing debut, and now you have a great streak going yourself. 6 fights in a row. That's awesome. So thanks for the time, man. Great to catch up with you again.
All right, thank you, guys.
All right, take care, Ricky. All right, folks, follow Ricky on Twitter at Ricky Simone UFC. Nice guy.
Cool cat.
Real chill. Yeah, and
said all the right
if
things.
he wants to fight a Mexican, maybe he might have to do Staples Center, LA. I could see that maybe being the type of card where they'll appease to that audience that's out there. There's a large Hispanic population in LA, so he may have to put off the travel just this one time, or he can be the away game, you know, the away side, and go to Moscow, Russia. You know, I was trying to think, who are the Dagestani bantamweights?
There's a new one that I'm looking forward to coming. Well, maybe not Dagestani, but Russian guy, Peter Yan. Are you talking about guys in particular that are already in the UFC, or just Dagestani bantamweights in general?
Yeah, Dagestani bantamweights in general.
Boy, you know what? Magomedov, who was, you know, I don't know if he's going to come over to the UFC, but he's one of the top-ranked guys. He had an epic fight with Peter Yan over at ACB. Most of those lower weight guys over there, Oleg Borisov, more Russian than Dagestani, but it'd be
cool to see him. Maybe it doesn't have to be a Russian; it could be just an Eastern European.
Yeah,
but in the
something
Moscow
like that.
card would be pretty cool.
There we go.
All right, folks. There you have it. 1 hour down, 1 hour to go. When we come back, we'll be talking to Maurice Greene, who will be headlining an upcoming LFA, or actually tomorrow night's LFA 38, as well as Brad Katona, a winner on last night's Tough 27, Episode 2. And we have a surprise guest that will be in studio, so stay close. We'll be right back. It's MMA Junkie Radio. Our next guest is Maurice Greene, 4-1 overall. He'll be taking on Jeff Hughes tomorrow night at the Armory, which is in Minneapolis, Minnesota. It's LFA 38 coming your way. And, of course, they are on Access TV. On the call will be Ron Kruk and Pat Miltich. Now, if you have DirecTV like Goz and I, just put it on channel 340 at 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific. If you don't have DirecTV, check your local satellite and cable listings. But seriously, a lot of talent has come through LFA, which was formerly known as LFC and RFA before merging in 2017. And I'm telling you, a lot of talent has come through there. So especially these co-main and main events are really special, whether it's for a title fight or a run, a clash between two fighters that have a lot of steam, and they could be making their move towards the big show. Now, let's get to Maurice Greene. What's up, Maurice? How you doing?
No, I'm always Gucci. I'm feeling great, man. You know, feeling like $1 million right now. How about you?
I'm feeling pretty Gucci, too. It is Gucci, right? I'd never heard that, but I like it.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate that, man. Appreciate you guys taking the extra time.
Well, no, hey, you know, I was afraid we might catch you in weight cutting, but you're a heavyweight. But as a heavyweight, I know some cut. Do you cut to get to 265 or no?
No, man. When I'm in shape, I'm probably around 250, 255, which I am right now. Probably the best shape I've been in. I mean, Legacy has. I have not fought for Legacy in this good of shape. So, man, I'm eating what I want to. I'm doing what I want to. Right now, this is just fun for me, man. The work is done. So.
Yeah, and Maurice is like 6'7", so that's quite a frame that you carry there, Maurice. What other? I'm sure you played other sports. What other sports did you play before getting into kickboxing and MMA?
I'm gonna be honest with you, man. I was never a good athlete growing up. I grew 6 inches the summer of my sophomore year in high school, and everything was awkward. You know what I mean? So I actually didn't come into my body until I was 25, 26, when I started losing all my weight. I lost about 100 pounds in you know, from the time I started to, you know, before I went pro. So. I really got into my athletic ability doing jiu-jitsu and Thai boxing and wrestling and boxing. You know, that really got me to my athletic prime where I am today. So
anybody that went to school with you would probably be a little bit shocked. They'd be like, wait a minute, he wasn't really an athlete, and all of a sudden he's whooping ass on national TV. They'd be a little shocked at the turnaround.
Oh, yeah. I mean, when my brother played D1 football at Hofstra, and he started as a true freshman for 4 years, so he was the athlete from the small town I'm from. So it's a little bit of a shock to see that I'm doing this, and more importantly, that I'm doing well, and you know, I'm succeeding at it. So we're going to continue that streak tomorrow night. You know, with Jeff. Unfortunately, he just has something I want. It has nothing to do with Jeff. He's the champ, and he has my strap.
Maurice Greene, our guest here on MMAjunkie Radio, known as the Pirate, and he'll be headlining LFA 38 versus Jeff Hughes tomorrow night, 9 Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific on Access TV. Again, they are the main event, so it'll be the last fight on the fight card. 4-1 with 1 KO, 2 submissions, so 3 of the 4 wins, have been finishes. All right, Goz, what do you have for Maurice?
Maurice, I'm going to try and ask this question in a way that you'll understand it towards what I do, because I'll bring it over to what you do, but in my job, I have to get here early, and I have to prepare for interviews, think of questions, that sort of thing. But every now and then, I'll be late, and I don't prepare. And guess what? I can still pull off the show. And that was almost like poison to me, because once I realized I didn't have to do all, you know, obviously I probably couldn't do that every day, but once I got that taste of, hey, I can sleep in a little bit more, it could be detrimental to what I'm doing. In your case, you haven't gotten out of the first round in a while. Like it would almost look easy, and I know you're still putting in all the hard work, but can that get like a little addicting, and can that kind of happen to you, what I was talking about, where you go, man, I've been smoking fools. Like, do I really need to put in that extra hour? Do I really need to do this? Have you ever come across that?
Not at all. Not at all, because at the end of the day, you know, I've been out of shape for my fight, so me in the best shape that I can be in, I'm going 25 minutes. I'm going 15 minutes. They're getting all of me. And I never sell myself short. You know, you don't put in that extra time thinking you're going to finish the fight early. You're really selling yourself short. You know, and when you do come up short because of that reason, then you look back and say, man, I could have done this. I should have done that. I got no worries to how my fight camp went. I probably train because I haven't been, I'm not working anymore. This is my full-time job now. So for the first time since November, this has been every day, man, 5-6 days a week, grinding, waiting for this moment. So, there's no half-stepping. It's my time. We're going to make this run. And Jeff is just another stepping stone in that run. So
when we get guys who are like strikers on the show and they get that submission victory, they talk about how big of a high it was for them. And vice versa, when you get a submission guy on the show and he talks about that first knockout he got and the high that he got from it, you have both. Which one was sweeter for you?
The submissions are always sweeter because, they label me as a striker because me just, being in glory. So anytime I can submit somebody, it's always sweeter for me. I have I got a fucking awesome jiu-jitsu coach in Brock Larson and wrestling coach at that, and, I'm just a student of the game. So anytime I can submit somebody and choke them unconscious, that probably is a bigger high than knocking somebody clean out.
Last question for me, Maurice. When Daniel Cormier first started out, when we were covering him, he had won a regional title in Australia. He won a King of the Cage title, one other one. And then he got to the Strikeforce Grand Prix. And then when he became a UFC champion, he still talked about how much those belts meant along the way. For you, how much would a title win mean for you? Or are you just one of those guys where you just see this as another fight and you're not letting the title distract you?
The title itself, they're really meaningful. It means I'm at the top of that division with that promotion. Mm-hmm. I'm at the top of that division, in that promotion, and I like to stay there. I feel I belong there, and I don't feel that there's really anybody. There's no heavyweight I won't hop in the cage with, and I feel bad for whoever has to hop into the cage with me. So, he signed on the dotted line. He got to pick his poison. I'm that poison tomorrow night.
Are you putting the added pressure that this fight could launch you into the UFC, or would you like to stay with LFA and defend the title should you win tomorrow night?
It's up to LFA on what I do after that. I'm their heavyweight champ. And I'm not I'm not concerned with fighting in the UFC per se. Mm-hmm. I've said this in a million interviews. I just want to get what I'm worth, and I want to be treated like an elite fighter. So whoever wants to do that, whoever wants to pick up on this and, run with me and ride with, the Crochet Boss and Mo the Pirate, man, that's where I'm at. Right now, it's legacy. They've always been good to me. Now it's my third fight with them. So, like I said, I'm riding with legacy until I hear something different.
I like that, man. I like that statement, putting it out there early on so all the big promotions that are listening, hey, if you want to get into a professional business relationship with a badass, sign up. He's willing to listen to all.
I want to hang out with a pirate, don't you?
I mean, think about it this way, guys, and I say this till I'm blue in the face. We could be good fighters. Mm-hmm. You cannot be a marketable fighter, and you can come up short in all these big promotions. That's what's going to happen to you. We all know that, right? Or you can be a guy who's marketable, a guy who's a fan favorite, and a guy that can go out there and put on a goddamn show, and you get what you're worth. Some guys aren't even getting what they're worth. I just want to get what I'm worth. I got a family to feed. They want the best. They want the best out of me. That means I'm not working a full-time job. You get the best out of me. You're getting what you pay for. So if my performance tomorrow night doesn't give me a spot anywhere else, if that's the path that I go, then, so what? I'm happy to be the champion of Legacy, and I will defend that belt until I'm ready to retire because I don't know who's going to beat me. So
that's what's up. And Maurice, by the way, I know you had to have gained another fan for sure through crochet because my girlfriend loves the crochet. So that's very cool that you knit and crochet. And I want to thank you for the time for coming on the show. I know things are hectic on fight week, but we appreciate it. It was nice to get to know you. Good luck tomorrow night versus Jeff Hughes. We'll be tuning in on Access TV.
Hey, that sounds awesome. Appreciate you guys' time. You have a good rest of your day.
You too. All right, we'll see you.
Thank you.
Man, that dude's solid.
Are you sure?
He's solid.
Yeah, he's pretty cool.
Yeah. I'm into Maurice Greene. Like I really want to watch this fight live tweet it and all that. And Jeff Hughes is their champ, so he'll be defending against Maurice Greene tomorrow.
Best Twitter handle of all our guests.
38. The Pirate?
Best Twitter handle of all our guests today.
Yeah.
What's Twitter handle?
Mo the Pirate.
Mo the Pirate.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, how you beat that?
And he's a knitter and crocheter as well. Okay, so now we got to let's take a break, Danny. Sorry to throw that last minute because this second hour is really packed, and that's the last thing we can not skip on. Obviously, you're listening to MMA Junkie Radio on Sirius XM Rush 93. Stay close. We'll be right back.
Yeah, you. Can you please tap that rather large fellow on the shoulder and tell him it's time for more MMA Junkie Radio with Gorgeous George and Goes? Thank you.
All right, we're back.
Brad is here.
And we are ready to talk to Brad Katona, who was a winner at last night's episode of The Ultimate Fighter, Season 27. That's the undefeated season. He defeated Kyler Phillips by decision, and he joins us now on MMA Junkie Radio. What's up, Brad Katona? How you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Good. Are you on the other side of the pond, mate?
Yeah. I'm over here in Dublin, Ireland, pretty far from home.
Is Tough pretty big over there? Like, over here, a lot of fighters will have viewing parties, because that's when, especially when they're fighting, or maybe they'll do it ongoing. How about over there? Is there a good ripple effect for the show? And did you get some nice feedback from friends and family?
In Canada, everybody from my home gym, the Winnipeg Academy of Mixed Martial Arts, they had a viewing party without me. Unfortunately, it's sad that I had to miss it, but they had a viewing party, which was very cool just to see the support, and it just warms your heart, as well as getting messages from people I went to high school with that I haven't even talked to in a while, just not even looking for anything, just saying, hey, we watched it, and we hope you go and win this thing. So it's been amazing seeing all the support that I've gotten over the past few weeks.
Okay. And in Ireland, do you think you're more recognizable after 2 episodes? Have you felt that at all, even if it's just 1 or 2 fans, or not yet?
I've definitely felt it. I was on the way to the gym the other day, and someone just honked and said, "Hey, you're the guy from Tough," and I was like, "Oh shit, I got recognized in a different country." I think that was my first moment where I'm like, "Oh, I'm not a big deal," but I was like, "I'm kind of a big deal," and it lit me on fire for a couple minutes. But it's definitely big here. I have a whole bunch of Irish fans messaging me on social media, and I try to get back to them as fast as I can. But it's been pretty hard to keep up lately. It's been just amazing. Oh
yeah, it's gonna get worse too. I'll tell you what was a big deal. Them calf kicks, man. Them calf kicks, they led to, your overall game was amazing. Everything was on point, Brad. And Kyler had some moments too, and that's what made it a great fight. But I believe those calf kicks were so key. And in none of the footage leading up to it led me to believe that would be maybe one of your number 1 strengths. So it just goes to show how all around you are.
I really appreciate that. It was one of those things. I think it was 1 or 2 nights before. Everything on the Ultimate Fighter is pretty cramped. You don't have much time to really prep for a specific opponent. But I was thinking, I was like, I haven't thrown a calf kick in a fight before, but I want to slow down Kyler's movement, and especially with him being a good kicker, I want to damage those legs, but I don't want him to catch it because he is, he is very good on the ground as well. So I was afraid that if I do just a normal low kick that he'd catch it and take me down, but those calf kicks kind of solved that problem, and I thought, okay, well, let's try it, and I hit him with one. I was like, ooh, that did not feel good. Let's keep on booting that leg, and, it's happy to see that it worked, and it was just one of those things where once it worked once, it was just, okay, let's go back to it until he starts checking it.
Brad Katona, our guest here on MMA Junkie Radio, is part of Team Cormier. Team Cormier faces Team Miocic, every Wednesday night, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific on Fox Sports 1, which is followed by Tough Talk. So check it out, folks. You really, really dig it. Now, Team Cormier is in control. They're up 2-0, and they have already made the picks for next week. So, Goes, what do you have for Brad Katona, our guest?
Brad, after your fight, we get the advantage of getting to hear the coaches talk a little bit about what they saw in the fight. And one thing that Daniel Cormier had pointed to was that spinning back kick and how it hurt you pretty bad. And he said that quite a few times, but as I was watching it, it did look like it sucked, don't get me wrong. But it seemed like you bounced back from it fairly easily. You got that takedown from it. So we never really actually got to hear from you. How bad was that kick, and did it really hurt you?
Well, the first one did. There was 2. There was one that I smiled at, and that was the second one. That one, the range was just off, thankfully. Because that first one did not feel good. I remember in the fight, I was like, okay, poker face, poker face, poker face. Carly's corner was yelling, he's hurt, and I was like, oh, you know, it sucked. It sucked pretty bad, but, you know, at that point I was still quite functional. But when he threw that second one, I was just a little frustrated by it. It didn't really land, and I kind of brushed it off. But really looking back on it, I should have done the same thing, just kept a poker face and kept working. But I guess I was trying to sway the judges, but really looking back on it, I'm like, man, that's not the smartest strategy.
One thing that stood out for me in the preparation for the fight, and even in the fight, really, you gelled very well with Daniel Cormier and the coaching staff. It seemed like you took in a lot of what they were saying, and it really seemed like they had an effect on the fight with there just being a limited amount of time, which we didn't see that in the first fight. Can you talk about your relationship with the coaching staff? And now that the show's over, is there a possibility that, you know, if you had the time, you would make the trip out to AKA and maybe spend some time with the coach?
You know, first off, having them in your corner, having two world champions in your corner, or having DC and Cain Velasquez in between rounds, it's not something you really absorb in the moment, but it definitely lets you trust in the advice they're giving. They've been in tougher situations than I've been, so, you know, it really lets you trust in any advice they give you, and I really just, no matter who's in my corner, they're in my corner for a reason. It's because I do trust them. And so I really try to listen to their advice, as opposed to, as you were saying, potentially making a visit out to AKA. That is something which potentially in the future, if I could arrange, it would be nice. They have a lot to offer and a lot that is applicable to my game. They have a style that really gels with my style, and I think that was one reason why the cornering advice was. I was able to implement it so easily, but you know, I'm really happy here at SBG Island. So if the opportunity comes to train at AK for a little bit, I'll take that. But I'm not looking at making any permanent move or anything at this point.
Brad Katona, our guest here on MMA Junkie Radio. You can follow him on Twitter at Brad Katona, BradKatona. He's 5-0 overall, and of course this is an undefeated season. Now that win is called an exhibition win, but as you've seen on last night's episode, he has now advanced in the semifinals of the featherweight tournament that they have. They have lightweights and featherweights, so 2 contracts will be awarded. And Brad has actually dodged one of the bigger bullets. I mean, that was the first pick for Team Miocic, and you handled them pretty well, man. So I know at this point in time, you got to be feeling pretty good about yourself. You know, taking out Phillips, winning for the team, letting the team control the matchups. So far, so good, and you've had a great representation of yourself as a hard worker, humble guy. So, man, really, really proud of you, Brad. That's quite an amazing debut to the MMA audience, the UFC MMA audience. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I really appreciate that. You know, they did a good job with editing, making me look as good as possible. I really, I was really nice to the staff, I guess, for a reason. They made me look much better than I am, but you know, I really appreciate the kind words as well as all the support I've gotten. It seemed like people really enjoyed that fight, and I'm happy. There's a lot more good fights coming up too on the show. So, and not even being biased, I thought my fight was maybe not one of the best. You know, so you know, there's some really exciting fights coming up, and I hope everyone enjoys the rest of the show.
For sure. Every Wednesday, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 Pacific. Channel 219 if you have DirecTV. Otherwise, check your satellite and cable listings. It's The Ultimate Fighter, Season 27, undefeated. And this is Brad Katona, who got a win last night. Brad, thanks for the time. We really, really appreciate it. Hopefully we can catch up again with you soon. And by that, I mean we're featuring all the winners on consecutive weeks. So hopefully we'll get to talk to you again in that capacity, because you seem like a pretty swell dude. So thanks for the time, brother.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thanks for having me on, and hopefully we can talk again.
Hopefully. All right. Take care. All right, folks. Bye. One more reminder. Follow him on Twitter, at Brad Katona, and big shout out to the UFC for lining that up. Chelsea leading the charge. Always looking out for us. All right, guys. It is time for the Daily Debate. Y'all ready?
Let's do it.
Okay. So here we go. With several of the UFC's biggest stars on the shelf, temporarily or otherwise, we want to know who do you miss seeing the most? Who do you miss seeing fight the most? John Jones, Brock Lesnar, Conor McGregor, Ronda Rousey. Goes.
Oh, I was hoping you didn't go to me first because this was so hard for me, you guys, to come up with the correct answer for this because miss fighting the most, I kind of miss John Jones' style, right, going out, but I don't know that there's that many options for him. Most of the fights that we want to see him do are all rematches, right? So I ended up going with, you guys may laugh, I went with Brock Lesnar. Only because the heavyweight division is so much fun for me at the top right now, and I know he would be springboarded right into that situation, that I think it could be fun if he were to amount a couple wins here and there. I think it would be a lot more fun. Ronda Rousey, I miss her attitude. I miss what she brings going into the fight. But just the girls at the top, I think right now will have her number. So my pick is Brock Lesnar.
Here's the thing. I felt like Ronda did so much for the sport, for women's MMA, but Ronda at coming off 2 losses, especially the way she just wasn't very much available media-wise, or there wasn't the usual Ronda like when she was at the top. So if she were to say, do you guys want me to come back? Not that I'd say no, but if it was down to like this question phrases, who do we want? I have to skip her. Brock, that's just it, Goes. If he does come back, he's not going to do 1 or 2. It's like, I feel like they're going to insert him, kind of like WrestleMania. You only do the big shows, you know, front of the queue, and I don't like that specialized treatment. So now we're down to Jones and McGregor, and I just think there really is something special about everything that comes with Conor McGregor. The press conferences, the conference calls, the interviews, what outfit is he going to wear? Is he going to be on time or not? The Irish that come pouring in, because usually they're in Vegas, you know. I guess I have to, everyone's going to feel like it's the low-hanging fruit, but I gave my reasons, man. It'd be Conor McGregor.
It's tough. I want to go with Conor as well because I love the lightweight division and I want clarity there for that reason. But maybe it's my bias. Maybe it's the recent upsetting of events. That's a little too much fire for me to touch right now. I got to go more with the John Jones. And again, another controversial character, another guy who, as MMA fans, whether you're a fan of his or not, if you're a fan of the sport, you should want to see this guy compete. He's one of the best we've ever seen. And with the thinness of the heavyweight and light heavyweight divisions, I feel like he could really carry the next wave, whether it's excitement for the fans, bringing in pay-per-views for the company. I believe if he gets it straight together, he can do a lot of good. So like a bad relationship, you love the crazy the most. So I'm going to go with John Jones.
Brock, Bones, McGregor. All right. I like that. Here are the results. 2,850 voted. Conor McGregor came in at 48%. John Jones came in at 43%. Brock Lesnar, 6%. Ronda Rousey, 3%. There you have it. That's today's Daily Debate brought to you by the MMA Junkie Radio crew. All right, guys, let's take a break. You're listening to MMA Junkie Radio on Sirius XM Rush 93. Stay close. I believe this is the short break. We'll be back, and hopefully our surprise in-studio guest is showing up right about now. Otherwise, there might be a big old pie in my face, because I rearranged a few things, and these guys don't even know who it is, so it'll be a nice surprise for them. Stay close.
They pat down TSA agents because they don't know where those people have been, and because they can. They are Gorgeous George and Goes, and this is MMA Junkie Radio.
Start your day with SiriusXM. Enable the SiriusXM skill on your Amazon device, and then tell Alexa to set an alarm for your favorite channel, and you'll wake up to the sounds of SiriusXM. With SiriusXM and Alexa, you can get the latest sports news each morning without picking up your phone or turning on the TV. Goes. I mean, this one's... Did you see this news that came in?
No.
Bill Cosby retrial. Jury finds him guilty on all 3 counts of sexual assault.
Oh, wow. I saw like a little, not a documentary, but a special on that when we were out in Langley, in Fort Eustis. And they were just talking about like what strategies would be implemented in the second time around and what they did wrong. And it was pretty interesting. I don't know what happens now because this isn't a civil lawsuit, right? Is it a civil? Or kind of like what happened with OJ?
No, I think this was criminal.
Wow.
I don't know, so I shouldn't really go out on a limb like that. It's one of those notifications that came in, but see, for us, well, for me at least, Cosby was, man, dude, like this was
he was an icon back then.
Yeah, people thought a lot of this man, you know what I mean? And for him to this revelations these last few years, major disappointment for many, for sure. Like feeling let down by what you almost felt like he was one of those American dads from TV, you know what I mean? Like the Cunninghams, I forget his name, was it Howard?
I don't remember.
You know,
it's funny because he's the go-to one that
well,
you
I forget. Tom Bosley was his name. That's right. I think he was Tom Bosley, and the 8 is Enough dad. You know, there's a lot of those dads, man, that you just like, wow. You know, like the Brady Bunch dad. Yeah. You know, there's a lot of them. Robert Reed, and but as you can see here, I mean, now he's been proven to have been the freak that everyone accused him of being.
Yeah, that's crazy. I used to watch him
so
too
sad.
Through.
But how about the people that he hurt, man? That's
Hey.
All right, there you have it, guys. Coming right now.
Can you input that name, Dan?
Brian Ortega will be joining us here in studio.
You son of a bitch.
Pretty good one?
It's a pretty good one.
Yeah, okay.
But you tricked us.
Why is that? Because I said he.
I know, but I thought it was like a Latin Grammy guy or something. That's why I'm like, I was even going to tell you, like, can you just write it down so that if it's a confusing name, Dan can type it in really fast or whatever. How you guys doing?
Well, ask him. Maybe he sings. Who knows?
Man? This is you.
All right, we're on live right now. What's up, Brian? How you doing? George, nice to meet you. All right. So this is Brian Ortega, folks, UFC featherweight, and whatever you're comfortable with.
All right.
Welcome to the show. Welcome to MMA Junkie Radio. How you doing?
Good, man. How about you guys?
All right. I didn't tell the guys who was showing up today. I was gonna make them a surprise. You know, we're all hardcore MMA fans. We're junkies. So they're pretty stoked about it. But Goes was just saying, he thought I was going down the road because the Latin Billboard Awards are tonight.
Yeah.
So there's a bunch of like Pitbull and Mark Anthony and.
Yeah, I was watching all the stories on my Instagram, and I was like, "What? There's a lot of Latino people out here.
A lot of them.
I didn't even know it was for that. Now it makes sense.
They got the red carpet in the back, and it's all going down.
Yeah,
today.
yeah. One of my friends is a Latino comedian.
Gabriel Iglesias?
No.
George Lopez?
No. Like he's up and coming. He's Jay Mendoza. He's the one that does all the funny Instagram videos.
Oh, okay.
I did one with him on my Instagram, where he's like the people you don't mess with or something like that. It was pretty funny.
It's pretty solid though, huh?
Yeah.
All right. But I was gonna tell Goes, maybe Brian can belt out a tune. Did you ever have any musical talents when you were growing up? Did you learn to play an instrument or anything?
Yeah, I can play guitar.
No shit?
Yeah.
Oh wait, you do that in one of I think it was when they were leading up to your last fight. They showed you. I think you were like on a hammock, right, playing guitar or something like that. I know I've seen you play guitar.
Yeah, I play guitar.
All right.
Yeah. It's the only.
Are you good or like you
I love
quit
playing.
after the 7th lesson?
No. I never took lessons. I pretty much just so guitar is the one thing in my life that no one told me to do. Fighting, my dad started me at 5 years old. Jiu-jitsu, he put me in there. Boxing, my boxing coach started getting in my head. So everyone's told me kind of like, got to do this, keep doing this, don't stop. Guitar is the only thing that I picked up where it was just on my own. And then I fell in love with it. I taught myself how to play. And every time I'm in training camp, I try to learn one song.
Yeah?
Yeah, and that's my goal. Yeah.
Which ones do you know?
I mean, I can play La Bamba, obviously. Stairway to Heaven. I can play Johnny Cash, Hurt.
Oh, diversity. I like it.
I can play, Eric Clapton, More Than Words.
Damn. You're a nice guy, but I'll
Yeah.
tell you this, you're the guy everybody hates. Because when you pull that thing out and play it for girls, girls avoid all of us.
But I don't pull it out, though.
And
I don't pull it
focus
out.
comes out
No,
on
I don't
you.
pull it out. I'm getting embarrassed of singing in front of people. I just do it alone.
Really?
Yeah.
You've never once used it like a...
I sing it here. I put like a couple things here and there every once in a while, but I just usually just do it to myself.
If I were you, I would have one strategically in my house in different rooms so that when the girl goes, hey, what is that? Oh, that old thing? And then you pull it out, and that's when you play La Bamba.
It's a panty dropper, bro.
Yeah, dude.
Got it. I'll note it down.
All right, so it became official, I guess, around last week. Junkie broke it, by the way.
Yeah, they did.
You will be facing Max Holloway at UFC 226. Man, that is an awesome card. You know what I mean? So, first of all, talk about the matchup and being on the biggest card of the year because this is International Fight Week. There'll be a tough finale the night before, and then actually let's go to Thursday. Thursday's the Hall of Fame, the tough finale, and then the UFC does a lot of stuff around town, and then it all culminates with UFC 226. Talk about being a part of all that and the matchup with Max.
I mean, that's amazing, man. To be on the biggest card of the year, it just means all eyes are on you. And ultimately, for me, that's what I wanted. When I was gonna fight for a title, I always told myself, if I ever make it to that title shot, I want it to be something big. It doesn't get any bigger than
this is massive.
It doesn't get any bigger than International Fight Week. I actually had the privilege of coming to one 2 years ago, and I mean I had a blast. And I'm one of the guys that barely pays attention to my own sport, as in terms of like being a fan of it. I just train and do my work and do what I gotta do, and kind of just do a lot of things outside besides fighting. And I had a blast. There's fights on Thursday, there's fights on Friday, there's fights on Saturday, and every single day there was just things to do, people to meet, and I had a great time.
Why don't you? Go ahead.
And to be on the main fight on Saturday, the build-up, it's amazing, especially to fight such a guy like Max Holloway. You know what I'm saying? Max Holloway, no joke. He's a solid guy. We're both young. I feel like we're both the kind of the next generation now that's the MMA has, you know. And you have Stipe Miocic fighting Daniel Cormier. He's moving up a weight class.
Ngannou and
Lewis. You got, man, this is a dope card.
Yeah.
I'm happy to be on it.
Well, I'm glad you said that. What makes this very compelling is, for one, you bring an undefeated record. You got the win over Frankie Edgar, Cub Swanson, so it's a respectable title run that you've had.
Yeah.
And then Max has obviously asserted himself as one of the next big superstars as well. You know, not only is he speaks very well and he's got swag, you know what I mean? He's got the wins over the iconic Jose Aldo. So I love it when it's two fighters that are young and have that type of trajectory. You know, who knows? Maybe we'll see 3 installments of you guys.
That'd be dope.
It's on a great card. But I did want to rewind to something you said. Sometimes you're not as in tune with the sport. Why is it? Are you just so overwhelmed with your own training and your own life? Is it something you've chosen to do or what? Because it seemed like you had fun in that 3-day run, but now you're telling me that, like...
No, it's fun. I had a lot of fun. I'm just... How do you say it, man? I do it so much. I train every day. I live. I'm so involved in it that I live in it. And then when I fight, I appreciate everything that happens during the fight. But after the fight, for me, it's like I want to go surfing. I want to go travel. I want to go have fun. You know what I'm saying? So fighting's the last thing that's on my mind. Don't besides my opponent. But
did you watch Lee and Barbosa or
no?
Wow, you're really detached then. Wow.
I was somewhere. I forgot where I was. I had to go do something.
It's amazing. I fucking can't get enough of it. And he's surfing. Yeah, okay. Playing the guitar. Much respect.
Thank you, man.
To be able to pull away like that.
Well, yeah. I made sure I watched the Cub Swanson and Frankie fight though. Yeah, I had my friend pull it up on the phone, and I was like, let me see it because I want to study them still. Plus, it's an interesting matchup to see because it was like I fought both of these guys, and now they're fighting each other. So he was just holding the phone for me, and then I was at the barber shop, and then I was just watching the fight, and then it was over, and I was like, all right, put the phone away.
The barbershop stays open late on Saturdays, huh?
Yeah, she hooks it up.
Okay.
Yeah, she opens up the barbershop for us, and then kind of just goes in there and gives us a special treatment.
Oh wow, Brian Ortega's like that?
No. She was cool.
That's what
she
Floyd
was cool
does here in Vegas.
She was cool. She's cool, man. Yeah, it's not me. She's like, hey, Brian, I'll open it up for you, this and that. And I was like, okay.
Is it because it was a convenient time, or you just don't want to get swarmed with
Nah,
fans?
it's not about the fan thing. I love seeing fans. I love hanging out with them. I love talking to people, finding out how they got involved in the sport, how they came about even being a fan of mine. Because I met people who come up to me, and they're like, dude, I hated you. And I was like, okay.
And they follow it up by now I like you?
And then like, yeah, now I like you though, man. Now I mess with you. I'm like, oh, cool, man, thanks. And then I just start finding out they're like, yeah, I just didn't like you, man. You know, like you beat up Clay Guida, and I was pissed at you, and I was like, all right, I'm sorry. And then like, no, but that Cub choke was great, man. And then after that, Frankie fight was great, and now I follow you, and I'm like, cool, man, thank you for the support. And then you meet people who followed you from the beginning, you know. So it's crazy to see and hear the stories that the fans have to say.
Yeah, do you get a kick out of it? Because like when him and I were growing up, if we picked up a basketball, we're Michael Jordan, we're Magic Johnson.
Yeah.
When people hit the mats, they're Brian Ortega. Yeah. They're playing that game.
They're jiu-jitsu. Right? They're playing flying triangles. They're playing, you know, all this stuff. So I love it, man. I love talking to people, especially who know exactly what they're talking about, you know, when they come up to you and they're like, hey, that fight, this fight, this fight. And some people give me advice. And I'm just like.
Even the haters?
And the haters as well. And then there's some of them are right. They're like, yeah, Brian leaves his left hand down too much. And you're like, and you go and watch it. I go, damn, he was right. And you're like, all right, got to work on something now. So it's cool, man. I take the good and bad from everything.
Brian Ortega, our guest here on MMA Junkie Radio. He is in the co-main event slot at UFC 226. Now, tickets have already gone on sale, so you got to hustle, folks, because the price point is perfect. And $800 gets you ringside. $105 gets you through the door, and it is going to sell out. I am telling you, it is going to sell out. And it's a stack card. Francis Ngannou versus Derek Lewis. You also have Max Holloway's defending his title, his featherweight title versus Brian Ortega, and then Stipe Miocic defends his heavyweight title versus Daniel Cormier. Now, the night before is the tough finale. Go to both of them. If you're already out here in Vegas, I'm telling you, man, this is the one time. All right, you just got to slap down that card.
You have to.
There's going to be some great fights. I'm hearing about some other stuff behind the scenes, maybe your division, as far as like what might be some key fights that are coming up. Now, that one is 105 gets you through the door, 279 gets you cage side, and it's at the Palms, and I've seen some great fights there. There's not a bad seat in the house. I'm going to tell you about the first time I kind of half met you, I guess. It was in San Jose, and I think you were there to support Nogueira when he fought AJ. So this was about 5 years ago.
AJ, Anthony Johnson. I fought on that card.
Oh, you fought on the card?
Yeah.
Okay, well, yeah, well, me. And he was in the lobby. He was just chill, man. Like you know, at the time, nobody really knew you or whatever.
Yeah.
And you were just like almost like slumped down, you know, just chilling out. And I was like, damn, like you're fighting, you know. So yeah, you did fight on the card.
Yeah, everyone always trips out how relaxed. And Dan Henderson fought. Yeah, he fought that night. Robbie Lawler fought that night against the Immortal. What's it?
Matt Brown.
Matt Brown.
Yeah. Stephen Bonner fought Kyle Kingsbury. Miguel Torres fought on that card.
Clay Guida fought Dennis Bermudez on that card.
Yeah. And AJ, unfortunately, beat your teammate Nogueira.
We were just signed by Ed Soares.
Oh, okay. So it wasn't like
he's not. Yeah, he's not my homie. Yeah, but yeah.
But I'm sure you were rooting for him, not AJ, right? Because of that relationship.
No, I seen AJ on the weigh-ins, and I was like, dude, this guy's a monster. And then when we were doing when we're in the room, because IVs were all right back then, we're IVing up, and I'm looking at Nogueira, and he just seemed way too distracted, and I was like, I don't know, man. That other guy looks, you could see it. The other guy was just on fire. His eyes, his look, his demeanor just meant I'm here I'm here for business. And then Nogueira's was just kind of more relaxed and everything. And then when the fight played out, I was like, I already knew it.
Well, like I say, right away, just seeing how and that kind of all makes sense with this whole guitar on the hammock, surfing, show me the fight. You seem to lead a real chill life, and it shows as well. You're not like uptight and like, you know what I mean? There's a lot of people that just hoodie, towels, beeline it for the room, and you were just out there. Whoever wanted to meet you could come up and say something.
I'm very relaxed. Even when I fought Cub, my first main event, I was out in the I turned the lobby into a casino. We brought dominoes, cards out. I mean, you name the whole thing. We brought it all out, and because like you said, when you get to fight week, everyone's so uptight, or so everyone like hates each other. They walk around like they're pissed off at the world. We brought the speaker out. We put some music on. We all started gambling. We started having fun. We started playing dominoes, and we set the vibe for even the UFC staff. Some of the MMAjunkie guys were playing out there. Everyone was just having they had a great time at Fresno, and then that's from the vibe that we set, you know. Because the thing is, we're gonna fight no matter what. I could either be stressed about it, it's gonna mess with me all week, or I could just not care about it because I'm still gonna be in there no matter what. I'd rather care about it the day of the fight. So that's why I just kind of take this more just relaxed approach of it, because I don't like
good
stress.
domino players, by the way. Is there any?
I'll take you guys out, man. I'll take you guys.
Well, aside from you, I knew you were gonna say you. But is there anyone else, like your coaches?
Well, what happened to Chill
You
Brian?
know who's you know who's actually good is Tate.
Tate.
Oh,
the cut man.
Bro, Tate joined in and he just whooped us on dominoes, and I was like, bro, you're from the hood.
Jorge Masvidal was pretty good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, he wasn't there. I never played with him, but
you know,
yeah, Tate
what
was
trips
good.
me out is if I were fighting you, I would be more intimidated at you playing dominoes and hanging out than I would if you got into my face before the fight or something like that. Because I'd be thinking, why is he so chill? He must know something I don't.
Well, even the day of the fight.
Yeah.
The day of the fight, I was playing dominoes, and I can see, because the hotel, the one we stayed at, fighters go over, and it's kind of like, it's like a little pit. You can see everything. And I see my opponent, I seen everyone just kind of looking at me, and you can look at them, they're stressed.
That would drive me nuts.
Me too.
And I'm out here just having a good time. And I was legitimately having a good time. So I was like, now they're even more pissed, and it's probably going to stress them out more. So it's worked.
So let me ask you this. Come fight night, when you walk out to the cage, you're going to give a lot of people goosebumps, right? The moment, the music, everything you've done to this point. For yourself, when's the last time you got goosebumps from something else, MMA related?
As in terms of my own self or other people's?
Where something just moved you the way you're going to move all these people.
The Khabib fight, the one that pulled out. Yeah, I got goosebumps on that one when I said yes to it.
By the way, when you did they go, okay, hang on, like we got to make some calls, or?
Well, they said we called Max. Max has to talk to his team.
Oh, I see. Well, they were open about it then.
And they said, your plan B, because Max is the champ.
Right.
And I thought Max was going to say no because of the foot injury. So in my head, I'm like, for sure I got the fight. So then I go and we meet up with Henner Gracie and James Lurson, my coaches, and we start trying to put up like a little game plan in 2 hours. And then I get the call, and it was like, yo, Max took it. I was like,
but
no.
For that moment in time, you're like, damn, Khabib.
Yeah,
New York,
like I was like
huge.
goosebumps. I was just thinking like how crazy it would be, like jiu-jitsu versus wrestling, undefeated versus undefeated, a guy moving up from another weight class. Like all these things started. I was giving me the chills, and then I got so excited, and then Max took the fight.
I think we're going to see it someday still. You know, all these featherweights and lightweights are going to collide. A lot of people are kind of moving divisions a little bit. So,
well, I'm starting to grow up a little bit more, and that weight cut's not getting any easier, you know. I've been fighting in the same weight class since I was 16 years old. I'm 27 now.
Brian, I always ask this for our in-studio guests. Can you share a good street fight story with us?
Good street fights. The first time I ever used jiu-jitsu in a street fight.
Okay, let's hear it. How'd it go down? Don't leave details out.
Got it. So I'm in the car with my sister, and she tells me, at this time I was 15 years old.
The mean streets of San Pedro?
This is high school.
Okay, high school.
Yeah. Narbonne High School. So she tells me, beat up my boyfriend. And I was like, done. So the whole day at school, I go looking for this guy. I don't see him. After school now, I'm ready to walk the street to take the bus home. And I look over and I see him. And he's like walking with his guys, and he's talking. Can I cuss or no?
Yeah.
He's talking shit. And I was like, well, what's up then, motherfucker? And
did he already know that you were coming?
Yeah,
okay.
The word got around. You know how high school is, man. You say something, it spreads like wildfire, especially if it's a fight.
By yourself?
This is me and one friend.
Oh, okay.
And then he comes up to me, and I take my first shirt off, and then right when I take it off, he's in my face. So I give him a 1-2, and he pulls me on top of him. And then I fall on top of him, and I'm mounted.
He pulled guard, okay.
Well, I rocked him.
Oh, I see.
And then he just grabbed onto me because he was falling. And I fell on top, and I was mounted, and all I could think of was, like, jiu-jitsu. Because up to this point, I haven't used jiu-jitsu in a street fight. So now I'm on top, I'm mounting, I start punching the guy in the face.
That's not jiu-jitsu, Brian.
Well, it's kind of jiu-jitsu.
Oh, you kind of set it up. I'm thinking, oh, did he go to an arm bar? All right, go ahead.
And then he pushes me up. And then I was like, arm bar.
Okay.
So I spin for the arm bar, and I grab it, and he bites my hamstring. And I start punching his face in.
That's not a gangster move on his behalf.
I start punching his face in, and then he lets go, and he's all bloody. And I grab his arm, and I gave it a couple pops. And then he started screaming, and I let go of the arm, and I got up. And I was like, what's up now, motherfucker? Let's go again, round 2. And then he's like, nope. And then I missed the bus. Had to walk home. And by the time I got home, I guess he went to my sister's friend's house and told her that I beat him up. So by the time I got home, I put my shirt on because I had blood on it. And then my mom's like, hi, mijo. And I was like, hi, Mom. And then my sister's like, yes, I fucking love you. You fucked him up. And I was like, shut the fuck up. I was like, Mom's right there. And then my mom was like, ¿Qué, Brian? ¿Qué pasó? And I was like, I beat up her boyfriend, Ma. And she's like, ay, mijo, why you always doing it? I'm like, listen, I go, tell him, sis. Because I guess he broke up with her high school because she wouldn't put out. So he had to come in.
Man, that's great.
Yeah, he had to come in.
That's a good story.
Well, I'm sure Mom was proud at the ending, right?
Mom kind of was upset, but I could tell when she went to her room, she was probably proud. At least I'm hoping so.
All right. Hey, I like to throw people under the bus. Dan, what does Brian do wrong?
What does he do wrong?
Yeah, he's undefeated.
Let me sit next to him.
He just beat Frankie Edgar. No, you said you took the criticism good with the hater.
I'm joking.
I did pick the wrong guy, that's for sure. I picked Frankie Edgar in the last fight, so I definitely got to come clean there.
The hand comes down. Is there anything? He watches a lot of tape. He's the fight analyst.
Yes.
You know, that's the one thing that surprised me the most, because you go in there and you're like, okay, the on-paper weakness on paper's got to be striking. So you're gonna look, you look for the weaknesses. Like I imagine Frankie and his team would look just as well. Say, okay, well, what's there? And that, I got to be honest, man, that's the thing that surprised me the most. I actually wrote an article, post that about kind of Babe Ruth. He came on as a hitter, but before that he was actually a pitcher, and a lot of people don't know that. And I just kind of saw that parallel, and I saw that your striking kind of quietly improved fight to fight. And that was actually what I was going to ask you. I'm like, dude, who are you working with for that? Because we always talk about your jiu-jitsu, but I think your striking has actually quietly not been talked about, and we've been seeing improvements there.
Yeah,
man.
It's my coach.
Hold on to that answer just one second. Let me just do a soft exit. Danny, are we okay with that?
Yeah, definitely.
All right, SiriusXM audience, we will be losing you here in about 45 seconds. Remember, if you're going to be in Vegas, and you should come out to Vegas, come out the first week of July. It's International Fight Week 4, the Tough 27 finale. Tickets at $105 to $279. $279. That's not a bad price, man. Up close, all of the tickets are great over there at the Palms. And then the next day at the T-Mobile Arena, you will see UFC 226 with Miocic versus Cormier and Holloway versus Ortega. 2 title bouts, and the heavyweights will be clashing. Francis Ngannou versus Derek Lewis. 105 gets you in the door there. Tickets all the way to $800 for that pay-per-view. So jump on it. Go to Ticketmaster.com. We are going to do a couple minutes of overtime just to finish out this question with Brian Ortega. So go to Facebook.com/official MMA Junkie.
The nighttime turning night into daytime. If you see it once, you'll never be the same again.
I had that same exchange with him. Brian had talked, and I thought he was flipping me off, but I just realized you have a ring.
I was like, dude, I said I like your shirt. Why are you flipping me off?
All right, so sorry about that. I just didn't want to make sure that.
No, it's all good.
And I know you have to get going, so Did you want to ask the question again, or?
Yeah, just basically, you know, who he's working with for his striking and.
My coach James Lurson.
Okay.
He picked me up when I was 18, and straight up told me, he goes, "Your stand-up is shitty."
Whoa.
Like that. And then he was like, "If I'm gonna work with you, you gotta stop hanging out with all your friends and do something different." And so he kind of took me out from the streets in that sense, and I started training with him, and I've been with him ever since. So it's just very like a slow progression, because to get good at anything, you need to put a lot of hours in, you know. So
right.
Even though I put a lot of hours in, when you step in there and you fight it, one thing is putting it in the ring or outside of the ring or the cage, and then one thing is going in there and trying to use actually what you've learned. And that was, for me, was always the hardest part, because I was insecure about it, because I wasn't too, in my opinion, I felt like I wasn't too good at it. Well, lately I've been sparring with pro boxers and everything, and I've been hanging with them, and I've been doing a lot better, so my confidence grew. And then now I'm just, when I step in the cage, I'm just like, okay, let's bang.
Yeah,
you know,
boxing's tight now, man. The Moicano fight.
The Moicano fight was.
I was like, what the fuck? You could tell levels.
Yeah, the Moicano fight was the one where I was like, let's bang.
Yeah.
And that was just a little bit of the ego, but it helped me realize that I can take a hit, and that I can keep hitting for 3 rounds. And I felt him kind of fizzling out in the third. That's why he shot in, because he was like, damn, we're both banging, but I'm tired of banging, and this guy's still in my face. And but yeah, man, it just, after that, my confidence increased, and even with Cub, I was just being smart about banging, and then I caught some good combinations on him. And then with Frankie, the Frankie fight was a Frankie fight.
One follow-up, if I can, just on the theme of what he just said as far as criticisms go. And I don't even know if this is a criticism, but it's honestly the closest thing I can think of. And it's something I know on a lot of people's mind. I said the Babe Ruth thing before. It's because, you know, he would strike until he hit it. And now people talk about you about losing rounds until you win the fight.
Yeah.
You obviously get that comparison. But
all the time.
What's your explanation of that, though, of that style of being able to?
I mean, at least because for me is, I'm fighting to finish. I've never in my life been a point-scoring kind of guy. Even in jiu-jitsu tournaments, my thing was I finish you. That's why the tournaments I lost in was by points, because I never really cared about points. Same thing in fighting. I'm here. I got 15 minutes to finish you. You're a top pro. You're an elite. You're a black belt. You've been training for so long. It's gonna take me a little bit to figure out your habits, and I'm studying you. I'm not just sitting there taking hits or kind of losing the run. I'm sitting here and I'm gathering all this information about you. I'm seeing how you move, when you move your left foot, when you move your right foot, when you drop your hand, when you throw your jab, how you throw your combinations, when your corner says some crazy little thing like London Bridge, and it just means the overhand right, you know. And then, so I'm getting all these things down. And then when I hear their corner say that thing, and I see the same movements, boom. So the whole thing is just me gathering data, and then usually because these guys are so good, it takes me a little bit longer than it used to. But now it's changing because I'm applying my own pressure and doing the same thing. That's the difference that has been. Before I was just letting them do the work and letting them come into me, and now I'm bringing it to them, and at the same time still studying the fight and figuring how to finish them.
Okay. He has to get going. Is it a quick question? Or
yeah, it's really quick. Just when you told that story about your sister,
yeah,
I saw kind of like a twinkle in your eye that it lit up that you were doing something for your sister. And I thought, aside from yourself, whose opinion matters the most to you?
My father's.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And do you feel like you've gotten his approval? Or is that going to come after this fight?
My dad's quiet. His thing's always been a head nod. But recently he's actually smiling. So I feel like I'm getting his approval. You know, he's smiling. I'm helping out my family a lot. I just feel like the way he grew up, he was hardened so much that it's hard for him or my mom to show emotion. So that's why I think their approval means a lot to me. So when he smiles, it's a real smile. It truly comes from the surface, from all that bottom.
Folks, tickets are on sale. Go to Ticketmaster.com. Again, it's the TUF finale, TUF 27 finale, undefeated, followed by UFC 226, featuring our guest here, Brian Ortega, who will be challenging Max Holloway for the UFC featherweight strap. In the main event, Stipe Miocic versus Daniel Cormier, champion versus champion. Miocic will be defending his heavyweight championship. Brian, thanks so much for stopping by. I know you got to get going to a media lunch. We really appreciate your time. Thank you very much for bringing them by. And good luck with your training camp, and we'll see you in a few weeks.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Months here in Vegas.
Yeah.
All right, folks. We will be checking out here, and then we'll be back in just a few minutes. Right, Danny? We're checking out?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we'll be. That's the end of the show, folks. Go out there and be a champion.
There's 1,000 pretty women waiting out there. They're all living the devil may care, and I'm just a devil with love.